Story Corner, presented by Jennifer. Thoroughbred. Book 1, A Horse Called Wonder. Chapter 9, Part 2. Ashleigh didn't see Charlie until the next day, but when she went out to saddle up Dominator the morning after, Charlie was already in the paddock. He put a racing saddle on Dominator and was tightening the girth. He had also put a regular English saddle on Belle. Ashleigh stared, hardly believing her eyes. But she didn't dare question him. His mood didn't seem to have improved any either. "Guess I can still keep these old bones in a saddle," he said shortly, "but no fancy stuff for this mare and me. I've left your stirrups fairly long for a while. We'll shorten them when we get to that straight stretch, and you can gallop." Ashleigh quickly swung up onto Dominator. Charlie was going to coach her after all. They set off at a walk. Charlie kept an eye on Ashleigh's seat in the saddle and barked out comments. "Keep your shoulders straight. Your weight's got to be balanced just right to help the horse. Time enough to learn to lean forward when he's at a gallop." Charlie pointed out other things as they trotted over the trails around the paddocks. "Your heels are sliding up. Keep them down. Stretch out that calf muscle. Your reins are too slack. You don't want to be tugging on his mouth, but you don't want him dangling either. I know old Dominator's not going to go running off on you, but there's plenty of other horses who will take advantage of that extra rein." Later, as they came off the crest and were walking under the trees, a bird suddenly fluttered up from the brush beside Dominator. The horse was startled and shied sideways, nearly bumping into Charlie and Belle and almost throwing Ashleigh out of the saddle. Ashleigh quickly got him under control and soothed him with her voice. But Charlie wasn't satisfied. "You weren't prepared for that, were you? Out on the track, you gotta be alert every second, prepared for anything, or you've got trouble." By the time they reached the long, straight stretch where Ashleigh did her gallops, she felt like a total failure. She thought she was a pretty good rider, but she sure didn't feel like one now. Charlie saw her expression. "Don't take it so hard. You're good. I might even go as far as to say you're natural. But if you ever want to get out there and win on a powerful, strong-headed thoroughbred with a dozen others pounding along next to you, then you've got to be better than good." Charlie came to a halt and Ashleigh stopped beside him. "Take your stirrups leathers Take up your stirrups leathers a couple of notches, he said. Jog them around a little till you get the feel of it. You're going to be balancing over his withers. With the shorter stirrups, you're going to be able to get your legs around him to balance that way. I'm going to ride up ahead. Wait till I give you the signal. Start him off. When I give you the signal, start him off. He is an old veteran. He'll jump right out. Gallop out past me to those trees up there, then start slowing him. Ashleigh adjusted the stirrups. She'd never ridden with a racing saddle in a jockey's crouch before. She trotted Dominator in a few circles to get used to the feel of sitting so high with her knees tucked almost to her chin. When she felt comfortable, she turned towards Charlie. He had pulled Belle up alongside the fence near the end of the straight stretch. Ashleigh readied herself. Charlie lifted his hand, then dropped it. Dominator needed no more than a tap of Ashleigh's heels and a cry of, "Go!" before he ran. He surged forward, his muscles bunching and stretching, driving him forward. His mane whipped in Ashleigh's face as she leaned close over his neck. She concentrated on keeping her balance and allowed her arms and upper body to move in rhythm with the stretching motions of Dominator's neck. She felt much less secure in the racing saddle, but she was so engrossed in her ride that she didn't have time to be afraid. She saw Charlie and Belle from the corner of her eye as she and Dominator flashed past. They pounded on until they passed the clump of trees. Then Ashleigh began to slow the horse, straightening and leading her weight away from his neck. The well-trained old thoroughbred gradually dropped his speed. Ashleigh turned him and rode him back towards Charlie. She felt exhausted, but she bit her lip nervously as she waited to hear what he had to say. He was frowning, but in a moment he ceased. His creased face broke into a smile. "We might just make an exercise rider out of you yet, little lady," he said. Ashleigh grinned. She was on her way. One day she was going to ride Wonder. She started going over to the training area every afternoon, talking to grooms and exercise riders. She made friends with Jilly, the girl exercise rider. Jilly loved talking to Ashleigh about riding. "When did you start?" Ashleigh asked as she and Jilly sat under the trees near the yearling stable block, cleaning tack. "About 2 years ago, right after I got out of high school. I was a groom before that. Grooming's hard work, and you don't get paid much." "But it's worth it if you love horses," Ashleigh said. Jilly smiled. "Yeah, it's worth it. I'm going to try to qualify for my apprentice jockey license this year." "How do you do that?" "Well, first you do a demonstration ride at a track. A track steward watches you break from the gate and ride about 6 furlongs. If the steward decides you're good enough, you can start riding in races as an apprentice. But then you've got to find a trainer who's willing to put you on top of a horse so you can win some races and get your regular license. It's going to be tough. A lot of trainers don't think much of women jockeys." "Don't you think Mr. Maddock will let you ride?" "I think he'll give me a chance. He knows I'm good, and he wants winning riders. But there's a lot of competition." "You'll do it," Ashleigh said. "I've seen how you ride." "Thanks," Jilly smiled. "I'm going to the fall meet at Keeneland. I'll try to qualify then, so keep your fingers crossed for me." "You bet. I'm hoping in a couple of years they'll let me exercise ride too. Charlie thinks I'll be good enough." "Well, just keep working at it. Don't let anyone discourage you, because they'll probably try." Ashleigh frowned. "No, I won't let anyone discourage me." In late August, Linda came back from the New York tracks full of stories. Ashleigh was thrilled to see her. She really missed Linda over the summer. She got a letter from her and another from her old friend Mona, but it wasn't the same as talking face to face. Linda couldn't wait to see Wonder, and the two girls hurried over to the paddock. "Wow," Linda said. "She's really grown. She's filled out too. And look at her go. She's keeping up with the other foals all right. She still looks kind of awkward, but she's holding her own." Ashleigh let out a long sigh of relief. I'm so glad you said that. I was afraid I was imagining things. Nope, you weren't. I just hope Mr. Townsend will change his mind. He's sure to now. Nobody thinks so but me. And me, Lyndon grinned. Ashleigh returned the grin. Boy, it's good to have you back. Let's go for a ride. I haven't shown you Dominator and Belle.